Why are so many sports car collectors quitting the field? So I've been thinking of a couple of reasons on why I thought this, and we're going to go over just the reasons on why. But if you have some reasons that sports car collectors are quitting the field and not coming back, or maybe quitting for a long time and then coming back 30 years later, then show us in the comments. Why do you think that? The first thing I'm thinking is like the oversaturation of the market. This means that two things that I thought was too many products, okay, and also inflated prices. Been talking about that in my last videos a lot, but I want to kind of go in depth here just about the too many products. If you're a newer collector and you go to a hobby shop, or if you go to, a Walmart or a Target or things like that, you get very overwhelmed on like what cards to get and what boxes to get and what singles to get, or whatever. There's so many different products out there now, and like Topps has like a bazillion different products. It's Topps Chrome, you got Topps whatever, and Topps this, or Bowman this and Bowman whatever. And it's like, which ones should I get? Like, which ones are the best ones? You have to do a lot of research in order for you to find a great pack, or a pack that's worth collecting or worth investing in, or whatever. Um, the newer collector, you might feel obligated. You might feel obligated to buy this pack while everybody's buying this pack, and it might not be a great pack, or you just might feel lost or frustrated because you have so many packs to pick from, and you're like, I'm not doing this. I'm not getting into this. I mean, I kind of felt like that when after I came back from 20 years of not collecting, came back and like, what are all these packs now? Topps Chrome, Topps Platinum, USA Baseball, like, that's just baseball. You have hockey, you got football, you got basketball. Like, I didn't really know, what to do. So I had to do a lot of research in order to make these videos, obviously, but also do a lot of research just to figure out what packs were the best. And, I did that back in the summertime when the Donruss optics were very, very hot, and you couldn't even find them on the shelves. And if you did find them on the shelves, you could resell those boxes for like 3 times the price. So, things like that. Newer collectors, you might feel very, very, I guess, very overwhelmed with all these different things, especially kids doing it too. You have 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 10-year-olds going in there. How are they going to know? So you have to kind of adjust them to what they are. Inflated prices. With high demand comes high prices. That's simple economics. And you have a low turnout of boxes going into these stores. So hobby boxes are just so overpriced that a new collector coming in the field, are they going to spend $500 for a hobby box where you have a slim chance to get a good card? If I get a hobby box, my luck would be I get like some guy that's not even known to get an auto for, or whatever it is. It's not even worth anything, and I'm spending $500 on an auto, or not a auto but a hobby box, and it's like not worth it. So the chances are, like, I don't really buy a lot of hobby boxes. I get blasters, I do singles, I do like the fat packs and things like that. But hobby boxes I kind of stay away from because they're so expensive. I would love to get a Topps Cosmic Chrome that came out in 2024 this year, but I mean, it's like $500 for a hobby box. I mean, I can't spend $500 on a box where I'm not even guaranteed a $20 card. So it's not worth it to me. The second thing, after the oversaturation of the market, the second thing is the investment hype and collection for fun. Like, how am I looking at these two? The hype for collecting, or versus the investment for fun, or collecting for fun. And the first thing I wrote down was the shift for speculation. And what that means is, like, people that are in the hobby, that are interested in all these different things, the investment is they're looking at the investment more than the actual hobby. Meaning, like, okay, I want to get this card, I want to get this Ellie De La Cruz card, I want to get this CJ Stroud card, I want to get this Wemby auto, and then resell it. And if I don't get that card, man, I'm done. So it's a lot of things that are going on with speculation. You have a lot of unrealistic expectations. These new collectors come in, or even old collectors come in, and you've been doing it for 30 years. Come in, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting all these blaster boxes, and I open up 20 blaster boxes, and I don't find a Wemby card in there, or I don't find a CJ Stroud card in there. And your expectations give you like a sense of disappointment if you don't get these things, and might make you leave the field because of that. I'm like, oh, I spent $1,000 on all these blaster boxes and I got nothing, right? why am I doing this again? Why am I going to keep on doing this when these prices are so inflated and these prices for blaster boxes are so high? So it feels like it doesn't pay off. So that was like one thing for this, the shift of speculation on how that's changing. Also, burning out, chasing profit. If you're chasing profit and you're doing this day after day after day after day and you're not finding anything, that burns you out. If you're doing it for years and years and years and you're shelling all this money out, you're getting burnt out money wise. Your pockets are getting burnt out, but also you're getting burnt out at the same time. People get discouraged when they don't see immediate returns. Like if I open this blaster box and I spent $40 in this blaster box, I'm not getting immediate returns on this because I may have gotten spending it many times. Maybe you have been in the same boat. $1 card, $2 cards, right? I mean, at least throw in a $10 card in there or a $15 card in these blaster boxes. If I'm spending $40 on a blaster box, I mean, maybe I can get a $20 card. I'll be happy with that, and I have other cards there. I mean, again, we're not here to resell things. We're here to hold on to them, bring our families into it, share the community experience, right? But if you're one that's trying to flip things, you have very unrealistic expectations because of this fact. Increased pressure too, because you want to find that big pull, that big Wemby auto, that big CJ Stroud auto, that big Ellie De La Cruz auto. And, it's ruining like the family aspect of it and the fun aspect of it, which we're in it for us, but, a lot of people are ruining that. And then they're just, quitting the field because they can't find these short returns. The next one is the one that I really kind of saw personally is quality control issues. Now, if you don't know what quality control is, you're watching this video and you're 12 years old, 13 years old, right? Quality control is like, okay, Topps or Bowman, how are they looking at their product? How are they sending off their product? If I'm buying a $40 blaster box, I should get a product that doesn't have bent corners, that doesn't have an auto of somebody, and on the back, it's a different name. That happened to me a couple weeks ago. I got a NASCAR card. I think it was one of the Unleashed NASCAR cards from I forget, it was maybe Panini's. I forget what it was. And like the Unleashed card, I think it was Joey Logano. And on the bottom, all the bottom of the card was just fraying off. And it's probably a good $5 or $10 card. And now it's worth nothing because it's just like it's frayed off. That's quality control, like the print quality, the card damage, the centering, the corners, the misprints, right? Like if you're giving off these boxes and these expensive hobby boxes, you got to have some good quality control when you're sending these things off, right? There shouldn't be any bent corners when you're getting this stuff out. Repetitive inserts, base cards, I wrote down. Like by base cards, like if I get I've got like the Big League Baseball hobby box, right? And it's like, that's the cheapest one around. It's like $50. So I did that. And I've gotten like 4 cards that were the same in there. 4 base cards that were the same. I mean, there are like 800 or 1,000 cards in some of these sets, and I'm getting 4 cards that are the same. That's going to make people like, I'm not spending money on this, and it's not worth it. So repetitive cards, the looking cards, the similarity looking cards, right? That too many are looking at. That's not really helping the entire field. So the next part is the breaking industry and its impact on the hobby field. If you're an older person, 50s, 60s, 70s, and you're not really good with technology, you're not having any idea what these breaking things are on like TikTok and things like that, right? So, but if you're a younger card holder, you're just new to the market, you're probably into all these breaks. The problem with the breaks is like these are like group breaks and lotteries. Like you're betting on this one pack, or you're betting on this one card, or this hobby box, or whatever that could be. And the rising of the break culture, that just like, I think it removes yourself from like the opening of the packs, right? You're watching somebody else open a pack for you, and you get a good card. Maybe you don't get a good card at all, but it's removing that like that feel of opening these cards for you. And like I know when I opened cards a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when we first got back into it, and even when I was a kid, I remember when I pulled that Bo Jackson card, right? I was sitting in my house and all my friends were around. Like I remember those things, right? Like that's like what the nostalgia we're going to get into too, right? The nostalgia brings you back and makes you come back and open more cards and more packs, right? But if you're having somebody else do it, I mean, I don't necessarily want to get into that, but I mean, maybe you have gotten into that or not and have found some pretty good cards, which is great. But I mean, just the aspect of not doing it yourself, when I teach and we do labs and things like that, the labs are geared towards their kids. And when the geared towards the students, they do hands-on stuff. When they do hands-on stuff, that really helps them remember, right? But when you're looking at through a computer screen and you're not doing it hands-on, maybe that's not helping you like keep the nostalgia when you get older and you want to collect cards with your son or your daughter or your dad or father or grandfather or mom or dad or aunt or uncle, whatever, right? Maybe that's not making you forced to come back into the hobby. So that's just me thinking about, the group breaks and all the lotteries and things like that. Also, with the group breaks, it's instant gratification. The enjoyment of the pack, like I said before, the enjoyment of the pack is not there, you doing it. Yeah, you're watching online, but you're not really enjoying it and doing the pack by yourself. The next one is like the seasonal nature of interest. So I'm trying to think in my head, how can people be leaving this field? And one big thing is like the seasonal nature, meaning like, okay, if I'm in NHL now, season NHL now, and I have Matvei Michkov, which is a good flyer. I made a video of him a couple weeks ago about he's like the next Connor Bedard and how he's like, maybe he gets hurt and he's out for the season. And I'm trying to collect all his cards and things like that. And now I'm not collecting his cards anymore because he's out for the season. Eric Lindros was a big name around where I live. And I used to collect all his cards. I still have all his cards. I remember when I got some of his cards and where I was when I got some of his cards to open up some of his cards. And now maybe like he's out of it and maybe that takes me out of the field too and makes me not come back for 30 years because now he's was a great player, not as a great player anymore. I don't really watch it anymore. And that makes me leave the field and maybe eventually come back or maybe not come back at all. So the seasonal nature is the interest waxes and wanes like the moon phases do. It goes up and it goes down. And when that happens, your performance is reflected on that performance of the player. Wemby's a great player. Maybe he gets hurt and he's out, for a couple seasons or a season, and then you go out of the field and never come back to it. So it all depends. So the main thing here is what can we do to save the future of hobby? Not that it's in really jeopardy now, but maybe it will be eventually in the future, or maybe it won't be. But just me thinking out of my head, right? What can we do to make it to make it be saved? And nostalgia is the one thing. You want to have nostalgia. I mean, I still have like Super NES and NES and all these old game systems. And when I sit down and load up like Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World, right? I can feel myself like playing in my room when I was a kid and what was I doing with all our friends around, things like that. So nostalgia and relatability is very important to keep these people in the field and to bring them back into the field. So as long as we have the love of collecting and the want to collect and the nostalgia, the hobby's never going to die. Never, ever going to die. And you bring the community in there. You bring the fun in there. You bring the experiences that you have going to the hobby shop or collecting with your friends. That's never going to die. And you're going to come back 20 years later, maybe after I did, and then want to do it again with your kids. Solutions. So what can be done to keep it accessible? Well, maybe more emphasis on like family and more emphasis on what's going on in your life and helping people out, right? And family really helps out, like entry-level sets. Maybe they can have entry-level sets or collectors that should focus on enjoyment rather than financial gains. That will really help the hobby out and keep people in. But the most important thing is like keep it fun. Keep it fun, creating memories, and using all this stuff to get the nostalgia again and then bring it back. And maybe you take a 10-year hiatus off of hobby and then you come back and you do it again with your kids or you do it again with your grandkids or things like that. And that's what the hobby's here for, just like other things are here for in the world, right? It's help us look forward to things. So that's what I really thought. But I encourage you to, in our comments, share some of the memories that you have, maybe with your kids or your dad or your grandfather or mother or whatever, and write down some of the things that you thought that would help out, or you thought that you always remember that you never forget for the rest of your life. And maybe encourage your family members to join you in the field. You're watching this video, obviously you're into collecting and you want to collect, so maybe pull a family member in, maybe pull your kids in, or your nephews in, and do that with them, because the more you have, the more base you have, the more fun it's going to be. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. And if you ever have any questions, let us know in the comments. And again, shoot us some messages in the comments, and make sure you subscribe. Talk to you guys later.